The future of Duck Dynasty is kind of up in the air at this point. The family, the Robertson family, after Phil Robertson was suspended, they released this letter. What they said was, while some of Phil's unfiltered comments to the reporter were coarse, his beliefs are grounded in the teachings of the Bible. Phil is a godly man who follows what the Bible says are the greatest commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and love your neighbors as yourself. Phil would never incite or encourage hate. Let's test that. Phil, what do you think about you inciting or encouraging hate?
They're full of murder, envy, strife, hatred. They are insolent, arrogant, God haters. They are heartless. They are faithless. They are senseless. They are ruthless. They invent ways of doing evil.
Okay, so you feel free to weigh his insane, irrational comments against the statement of his family, but they go on to say, we are disappointed that Phil has been placed on hiatus for expressing his faith, which is his constitutionally protected right. They're completely missing the point. We have had a successfully working relationship with A&E, but as a family, we cannot imagine the show going forward without our patriarch at the helm.
Unless they offer us enough money.
Exactly. Now, we have a potential place that they might end up, but first, do you think that it's likely that they will continue? I mean, he's just suspended. We don't know that he's going to be fired, although now with this new tape, who knows?
That's the problem with these things, is the second day, like, they probably could have survived that interview. I think they could have. I think they could have, advertisers would have calmed down. They would have lost some, but they would have probably picked some up also. Yeah. That's not, A&E doesn't want to wade into this controversy. I mean, you made a great point, but they sanitized the show because they don't want any of that stuff. That's not, they got no interest in muddying those waters. But the more stuff comes out, I mean, look, were you surprised that this guy hates gays and is incredibly, at the bare minimum, if he doesn't hate black people, he's wildly ignorant about what has happened in the South in the 50 years prior to the Civil Rights Movement and since then. So, my hunch is there's just a ton of this stuff. And my hunch is that guy has used language which is shocking, and eventually somebody's going to say, no, here's what he says all the time when he comes into this store. So my hunch is they can't weather it because there's too much other stuff coming.
Don't you think there's too much money involved, though? I mean, the number one, I just don't, I mean, that's why they keep, Donald Trump is the number one racist in chief right on NBC, and they didn't take his show away. Nobody, I mean, he's been running around race baiting since Barack Obama got elected, so. Yeah,
look, there's an equation for A&E. Like the hit that they take on advertising versus the loss of the show completely. And if it ends up being worth it for them to continue the show. And also, but we can't be overly cynical about that, because at some point human beings have to make a grown-up decision. Like they'll say to him, we want to continue the show. You have got to apologize. And it's got to be believable. And if he won't do it, then they may be in a bind. If they convince him to say, Ms. Stoke, everybody's God's children, I said a lot, I've grown up in a crazy time. If he Paula Deans it a little bit, then maybe it'll continue. But I bet, as I said, I bet the hits will keep coming.
It's hypocritical for a station or a network like A&E, which stands for ass and excrement, to be doing this to a guy who just for religious beliefs, Cenk.
I don't think that.
That's not what it stands for?
No, it might be arts and entertainment.
Oh, which part is Duck Dynasty? Art?
So Ben has the equation exactly right. And that's why Trump had enough ratings and was not clearly provably racist enough, like that he can, we know it, right? He even questioned Obama's education. Like how could a black guy go to Columbia? I mean, but he didn't say it that way. So it was just on the enough plausible deniability that he survived, right? Now, on Duck Dynasty's on that end of the spectrum in terms of ratings. It's the highest rated reality show in cable history, okay? Now, on the other hand, if you remember, Glenn Beck was murdering in the ratings at Fox News. Give the guy his due. He was getting great ratings, right? Now, they didn't fire him when he was getting great ratings. His ratings had slipped considerably when they fired him, because that's the equation, right? But he cost them all these advertisers, not just on his program. No, there was literally no advertising on Glenn Beck's program, because that's how toxic he had become.
Not even gold and disaster seeds?
Yeah, and so it would just make goods and stuff. No advertisers specifically went into Beck's program. And in fact, that was bleeding through the rest of Fox News. They were canceling Hannity's show, etc. So they were like, they did the math on it, and they're like, I can't believe Beck said that, he's fired, right? So now with Duck Dynasty, there's going to be a similar thing. Ben's also right that there's going to be executives there who are upset at how vitriolically He hates gay Americans and probably African Americans. Before, just yesterday, I was saying this guy's probably just stupid. He's ignorant. That's probably now that I saw that clip, I don't think so. I think this guy's actually hateful, right? Yeah. And that's going to bother people. So that's a part of the equation too. But they're going to crush some numbers. So it depends on how many advertisers they lose. So if they lose enough advertisers and it bleeds into the rest of A&E, and they didn't like the guy in the first place, at some point the axe falls.